Welcome to South Asia Maps. This is your facilitator, Reddy at South Asia Maps. I will try to bring the culture, geography, history, heritage of South Asia, south of Karakoram Mountains and north of Kanyakumari in the form of icons, images and maps. We are continuing our fascinating journey through the land of Gurus and Maharaja Ranjit Singh, that's the Punjab. This is Punjab geography. Today we will talk about the great river JHELUM. And this is the overall bird's eye view of what I am going to talk today. After the presentation, you will know that JHELUM is around about 800 kilometer long river. It is the tributary of a bigger river Chenab that itself is around about 1200 kilometers. JHELUM River originates at Verinag in the Valley of Kashmir. It goes through the JHELUM Gorge and continues its journey at Goel and Muzaffarabad. It takes a southern bend where Kishan Ganga River joins JHELUM River from the north. It is dammed at a place called Mangla near Mirpur or Mangla Dam, Mangla Reservoir, Mangla Headworks. Continues after Mirpur and skids the JHELUM district. It separates Sargodha part and Kusha part of historic Shahpur district and joins Chenab River at Jang or Ataran Hazari. And what are the right bank districts? This part of the districts of River JHELUM. What are the left bank districts? That means this part of River JHELUM. We will take a look at it. Of course, when we talk about geography, history and culture at South Asia Maps, we are not just listing the length of the river, the source of the river and the mouth of the river. I will try to bring you the fascinating aspects of the river as a part of life, history, heritage and culture that will bring you into the Treaty of Amritsar between Maharaja Gulab Singh Dogra and of Jammu and Kashmir Princely State and the British East India Company. That's what we are going to talk in the next few minutes in this fascinating presentation about the great river JHELUM, which is a tributary of River Chenab. The River JHELUM starts in the Kashmir Valley, in the Vale of Kashmir, the beautiful valley. And when you are going from Jammu to Udhampur, Ramban and Banihal Pass or Jawahar Tunnel, then you will come into Valley of Kashmir starting at Kazigund or Anantnag or Verinag. In those places the river starts. That means it starts in the southern portion of the Valley of Kashmir or Vale of Kashmir and winds through Srinagar city, the historic capital of the Kashmir, and goes to near Bandipur Lake and Ular Lake, Bandipur, Kupwara, and so on, and Baramulla. And nearby Uri, it enters into a deep gorge called JHELUM Gorge. It continues its journey in the JHELUM Gorge and goes to a place called Muzaffarabad or Goel, a town. In the northern part of Muzaffarabad town, the river receives its major tributary called Kishan Ganga River. And as it journeys, it forms the boundary between Maharaja Gulab Singh's territory on the east and the British East India Company's Punjab province on the west. The river continues its journey through Muzaffarabad district and Poonch district and Mirpur district. Before in that area, the river also receives one of its other tributary, Poonch River tributary. Named after the Poonch River, there is a district called Poonch, Punchor, Poonch, Poonch. And the river is dammed at the border between the Maharaja's territories in the east and the British East India Company territories on the west at a place called Mangla. It forms Mangla Reservoir, or now a Mirpur Reservoir, and this is the Potwar region, Potahar region, that consists of Rawalpindi, Islamabad, Attock or Kambelapur, and JHELUM district and Chekwal district and Attock district. Here the river skits the Salt Range mountains. Those are the mountains in the southern part of Potwar region. The river enters into the Punjab plains and continues its journey. And the river joins River Chenab. As we said earlier, JHELUM is the tributary of Chenab. Chenab River here, which is 1200 kilometers long, and Sutlej River here in the south, which is around about 1400 kilometers long. Both are tributaries of a short river called Panjnad, which itself is a tributary of Sindhu River, mighty Sindhu River. If you remember River JHELUM, one thing you have to remember is River JHELUM starts with the letter J. There is a historic district called Jang district, and at Jang, or actually southern part of Jang district, the River JHELUM joins River Chenab. But the actual place where it joins is called Atara Hazari. Sometimes it is also called in some maps Ataran Hazari. That's a place called Sarai Sidhu also. So the source of River JHELUM is Verinag in the Vale of Kashmir. The mouth of River JHELUM, or its merging point into the ocean or other water bodies such as a river here Chenab, called mouth, is southern part of Jang city or Jang Sadar at a place called Atara Hazari or Ataran Hazari or Sarai Sidhu. And actually it just few kilometers south of there is a dam or reservoir called Trimu. So we can say Trimu also. So Trimu or Atara Hazari or Ataran Hazari or Sarai Sidhu or Jang are the mouths, merging points of River JHELUM into Chenab. This is very important. Now, what are the districts the JHELUM River separate as it winds from Verinag to Jang? This is the river. As the river goes here, this is the right hand side of the river, this is the left hand side of the river. In the right hand side of the river, it separates Hazara region. This is called Hazara district. It called Manchera, Abotabad and Haripur and Balakot, those places. And Rawalpindi district from Muzaffarabad district and Poonch district and Mirpur district of Maharaja Gulab Singh's territories are his successor, the Hari Singh's territory. And the river continues after it enters into skits the Salt Range mountains, outliers of the Potahar Plateau. The river separates Gujarat District on the left bank and JHELUM District at the right bank. It gives the district, this part of territory, a name JHELUM District, where a historic Rohtas fort is present. The river continues and it separates Chekwal District in the north to Mandi Bahauddin district in the south or in the left side of the river. Previously it was a bigger Gujarat district, then it was separated Gujarat here and Mandi Bahauddin here. The river still continues, and the historic Shapur district surrounds the entire river. On the western side it is the Kushab region, on the eastern side it is Shapur Sargoda region, and at south of Jung it joins the river Chenab. That is about river Chenab. And here I have given other important representation here. This is from the perspective of Maharaja Gulab Singh's territory. This is the Gulab Singh's territory, or princely state of Jammu and Kashmir, consists of the provinces of Jammu, provinces of Kashmir, and province of Ladakh, and dependencies like Gilgit Agency, Astor, and certain other ilakas or regions. Here in the Valley of Kashmir, in the Anantnag district, near Verinag, the river winds through. At that time, the historic time or olden days, there were only 2 or 3 districts in the valley, Anantnag, Srinagar, and Baramulla. In Baramulla and Uri, it enters into a gorge and enters into, separates the Muzaffarabad in the east, Poonch, and Mirpur. Here you can see Hazara district, and also you can see Rawalpindi district. You can see JHELUM district, and you can see the Gujarat district, Mandi Bahauddin, and in the historic Shapur district. You see Shapur, that is the Kushab in the western side and Sargoda on the eastern side. This is the JHELUM River adjoins Chenab River south of Jang. Then what is the Treaty of Amritsar? Why we are bringing that topic, Treaty of Amritsar, when we are discussing about geography of Punjab and River JHELUM? This is very interesting to know. A lot of people, when they discuss about the rivers, they will say start and end. They will tell about the certain important towns, cities, and so on. Here we are introducing a concept of integrating the entire thing on the land, the geographical area, a political, historical aspect, so that you will have a good understanding of the events in a spatio-temporal manner and how they are affecting us today. That we will discuss further in the other parts. There are 2 treaties of Amritsar. One treaty is the Treaty of Amritsar that was made 1809 between Maharaja Ranjit Singh in the formative stages of his kingdom formation, negotiated by Charles Metcalfe, an important diplomat sent by, at that time, Governor General Lord Minto of British East India Company from 1808 to 1813, I think, because after 13 we have Lord Hastings who took over. And 1809, the treaty made Sutlej as a southern boundary of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. He cannot do anything in the southern boundary called Cis Sutlej states like Patiala state, Nabha state, Jind state, and Bahawalpur, Musalman ruled princely state. All became the protectorates of the East India Company, and Ranjit Singh cannot cross the Sutlej River and establish his sovereignty in the dominions or geographical regions here. And that was the Amritsar Treaty 1, 1809, Metcalfe and Ranjit Singh. After the death of Ranjit Singh in 1839, and anarchy in Punjab for a decade, and the first war, 45-46, December to March 1845-46, Sikhs were defeated, and they shed a lot of territory. They gave the Jalandhar Doab, here the Jalandhar, Hoshiarpur, and Kangra, those regions. because they started the war, they have to pay the indemnity or penalty for starting the war, because British has to mobilize the army, finance the army, move the army. It cost them lot of money, they claimed. So that has to come through indemnity to be paid by the Khalsa Darbar at Lahore, and the amount set was 1.5 crore, that is 150 lakhs or 15 millions, among which 75 lakhs was paid by the Khalsa Sarkar, and they lacked the rest of 75 lakh Nanak Shahi rupees, and in that they traded the territories. What are the territories? They said because Gulab Singh was actually a minister in the Khalsa Darbar, are not in good terms with the rest of the Khalsa Darbaris, so they thought to get rid of it. They said they will give the hill territories above the Punjab plains. That means from the river Ravi, this is the river Ravi, overlooking the Chamba itself as a princely state, they will give all these hill territories up to Indus. That means JHELUM here, Hazara district here, and originally because they want to get rid of it, and British accepted that, and British once accepted the territory, but they lacked the manpower and military controlling the troops, maintaining the law and order, integrating it to the rest of the British Empire is very difficult in the mountainous area. So at that time the Raja Gulab Singh, who was a vassal king or subordinate king of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, who had a territory or fiefdom, and at Jammu came forward, he said he will give the 75 lakhs. So the British East India Company sold the territory to Maharaja Ranjit Singh, that is the hilly regions between the Sindhu River, Indus River, east of Indus and west of Ravi. Later the boundary moved, instead of Indus, they moved to JHELUM. So essentially the second Treaty of Lahore gave the hilly tracts to Maharaja Gulab Singh because he paid 75 lakh Nanak Shahi rupees to the British East India Company. It was an independent treaty signed between the representative of Lord Hardinge, British Governor General at the province of Port Williams, that is Bengal. He sent Frederick Curry and other important dignitaries, representatives of the Governor General. Lord Hardinge signed the document. In this document, Second Treaty of Amritsar, signed on 1846, March 16, between Raja Gulab Singh Dogra at that time and British representative Frederick Curry. No courtiers of the Khalsa Darbar at Lahore were involved. This is one-to-one independent treaty. Now Raja Gulab Singh became Maharaja Gulab Singh. So now there are two Maharajas. One Maharaja in Punjab, that is Minor Dalip Singh. Other Maharaja who has a direct treaty relations with the British, Maharaja Gulab Singh Dogra. That is the Treaty of Amritsar. That's the where the JHELUM River comes. The Treaty of Amritsar eventually gave the territories which are hilly in nature between the Ravi River, that is goes through the Chamba, and JHELUM River. That is, it gives already Kathua, the Jammu, the Udhampur, Riyasi and Mirpur, Poonch and Muzaffarabad and Anantnag, Baramulla and all those regions. And already Raja Gulab Singh Dogra conquered Ladakh, and eventually he conquered his successors, Gilgit, Astor and those areas and so on. That is a different story. That is where the Punjab geography part of River JHELUM fits into the Treaty of Amritsar, Second Treaty of Amritsar between East India Company, Bahadur's representative Frederick Curry and Jammu Raja Gulab Singh Dogra. Now, before we terminate, let's look at the actual how the JHELUM River looks like. Here the Srinagar is the Valley of Kashmir, beautiful Valley of Kashmir. You can see the Pir Panjal mountains here, fantastic mountains. We have a Bani Hal Pass here, that is around about 28 meters about mean sea level. That means no other part of southern India, Deccan, has that much height. We can say around about Anaimudi is around about 2900, or Uttakamand, Ooty is 2600 and so on, but almost. The pass itself is almost the height of Anaimudi, more or less. Then we have Pir Panjal Pass here from Rajouri to Sopian. That itself is 3000 feet. That means no part of Bharat, the south of the north of Kanyakumari, has that much height as a Mughal Pass or Pir Panjal Pass. So this is the Valley of Kashmir, Anantnag and Verinag. Here the river originates, goes through the Anantnag area, Kulgam, winds through the Valley of Kashmir. There is a Dal Lake here in the Srinagar city that continues through the Ular Lake and takes a bend at Baramulla. And at Uri, the river enters into a deep gorge called JHELUM Gorge. It goes to the JHELUM Gorge. Now this is the road here, JHELUM Gorge. And it goes to Muzaffarabad town. Let's see the Muzaffarabad there. Yeah, Muzaffarabad. So we are in Muzaffarabad here, or Domel. Here you get the Kishan Ganga river here. And the river continues south from Muzaffarabad. And it continues. You can see the Punch River is the river, continues here. And this is the river, it continues. And here it will form the Mangla Dam. The Punch River joins here. And the river JHELUM continues south of the Mirpur. You see the Mirpur here, the Mangla Dam, Mirpur Dam here. This is the river. And this is Punch district, and on the other side Hazara district, Manshera, Abbottabad and those regions. In the Potwar Plateau you see Islamabad, Rawalpindi and Kahuta. And the river, this is the Potwar Plateau, and this is the JHELUM district, the river. This is the Salt Range Mountains, you see the JHELUM district. And the river skids the Salt Range Mountains and goes to Mandi Bahauddin and all those areas, and it goes through here. This is the river continues. Western side you see Kushab, the eastern side you see Sargoda. This is the historic Shapur district. We have Gujarat district. We have Mandi Bahauddin district here. At the same time you see the Chenab river here. Chenab river comes from Aknur somewhere here, Jammu here. Chenab river, Gujarat and Wazirabad, and Chenab river continues. And here the Chenab river and Chiniyot town, and also called Rabua town here. And the river continues. And this is the Jang. Just I have pointed out the Jang here. At the Jang, south of Jang, this is the Chenab river. This is the JHELUM river. It joins Attaran Hazari or Attara Hazari, and you can see from the Jang. So the termination point or merging point or mouth of JHELUM river, we can say Jang or Attaran Hazari. Also small place there called Sarai Sidhu, and also there is a dam here. The dam is called River Trimu or Emerson Dam. So that is the story of River JHELUM. The combined waters of JHELUM and Chenab continue, and Chenab river gets other tributary here, Ravi, at a place called Ahmadpur Sial, and Chenab continues its journey, and Chenab ultimately meets with the Sutlej river at a place called Uch Sharif or Alipur, and that is the other part of the story we covered elsewhere. So we are looking at the same thing in a different perspective. So if you look at the land from outside in a topographical point of view, you get a better idea. and you will start appreciating the beauty of the land that took billions of years in the geological process, how these rivers formed and rocks and their erosion process or so on. You can see around about 200 meters mean sea level or so in Rawalpindi, those areas, Punjab plains, 1600 meters, the fascinating Valley of Kashmir or Vale of Kashmir. Again, you can see here, this is the Mughal Pass round about to 3500 meters, much higher than Anaimudi mountains of Sahyadri, south of Nilgiris and south close to Palani and all those places in Tamil Nadu. The pass enters here near Sopian. You see the river originates in Anantnag, Verinag, Anantnag goes to Srinagar, Ular Lake and Bandipur area and Kupwara area and Hindwara area. And here you can see Baramulla. From Baramulla, the river enters into a gorge, and actually the real serious gorge starts at a place called Uri. You can see here Uri. So Baramulla, Uri, and you can see the river goes through a very steep gorge. This is the place where, after the princely state of Kashmir joined the dominion of India, the Islamic invaders waging the jihad and Ghazwa, the Vandals, came through, and the Maharaja Hari Singh decided to accede to the dominion of India in order to safeguard his realm's territory. So that's where the river plays an important role. It continues river. We see the Muzaffarabad area, and here somewhere we will see the Punch, and there is a Kohala bridge, Kohala town here that we will deal in other part. Crossing the Kohala from Rawalpindi Marre means entering into the Maharaja Hari Singh's territory. There is the Kohala town somewhere here, and this is Islamabad. Marre will be somewhere here. Marre, the summer capital of British Punjab, and the river continues. River Poonch joins somewhere here, and the Rawalpindi and the river JHELUM continues. Here you can see river JHELUM continues, and it forms the Mangla Dam and Mirpur Dam. Here you can see Mangla and Mirpur Dam, Mirpur town here, and this is the, let's zoom out little bit, you'll get a better idea. And here the Mirpur town, the Mangla Dam and Mirpur Dam, and JHELUM town and Shohawa town here, where the tomb of the Islamic invader Goel resides. And we have JHELUM, and it goes next is the Gujarat District here, JHELUM District here, Mandi Bahauddin District here, and we have Shapur town and Juhirabad town, the Sargoda, and this is the Kushab area, and this is the Chenab river. This is the Chezdob or Jechdob, because the other part is JHELUM Chenab, Jechdob, like that, the river Chinyot, and Rabwa town, and Jeng Sadar, and Attara Hazari. You see in the other map we see it is Attara Hazari. Here we can also see Attara Hazari, Emerson Bridge or Trimu Bridge near Jammu. That is the fascinating journey of the great river JHELUM that winds through the river JHELUM winds through the Valley of Kashmir. So, in a sense, today we discussed about the fascinating aspect of river JHELUM as a part of Punjab geography. Essentially, we covered the length of the JHELUM River, 725 kilometers. It is a tributary of mighty river Chenab, and the river starts at Verinag near Anantnag district. It goes through Srinagar and Ular Lake and Baramulla Uri, and enters into the deep gorge, JHELUM Gorge. At Domel, Muzaffarabad, the river gets its tributary called other major tributary Kishan Ganga. That continues from the Muzaffarabad, Poonch, and in near Mangla and Mirpur, it forms a reservoir dam. It is dammed. JHELUM River continues its journey, and it's separating Muzaffarabad, Poonch, and Mirpur on this side, and Hazara district and Rawalpindi district, JHELUM district and Chakwal district, Kushab district on the other side, Sargoda on the eastern side and Mandi Bahauddin and Gujarat on the eastern side. It joins River Chenab, to which it is a tributary at Ataran Hazari and near Jang or Trimu Bridge. And the river is the historic separation point between the British districts of Punjab, of Hazara district, and Rawalpindi districts on one side and JHELUM, and other side Muzaffarabad, Poonch and Mirpur. Crossing the river from Rawalpindi Murray Road at Kohala Bridge is entering Maharaja Hari Singh's territory. The Treaty of the Amritsar, 1846, March 16, between Raja Gulab Singh Dogra and British the Governor General's representative Frederick Currie, awarded all the hilly areas between Indus River and Ravi River, essentially Ravi River later, and JHELUM River to Maharaja Gulab Singh, was made Maharaja Gulab Singh. So that is in a sense about the mighty river JHELUM, and as a part of Punjab geography we discussed this river, and this is your facilitator J. Reddy at South Asia Maps. We try to bring a deeper knowledge of South Asia to the audience in the form of images, pictures and icons, and we appreciate your subscriptions and comments and compliments coming in, and thank you very much, and see you later.